Hello, everyone, and welcome to the College Tracker Show. And guess what? This is the first episode of season 3. Yes! And today, first, before I tell you who we have with us, let me introduce myself. I am Kimberly Bass, and I'm going to be your host today. We have with us the University of Arizona. All right, the Wildcats. And today with us from admissions, we have Hope Noriega from the athletic department, from the rugby. We have Coach Duffy, and just a little bit of housekeeping. Well, actually, before we get into that, we want to know where you are. Drop in chat, or if you're watching us on live stream, drop and let us know where you're joining us from so we'll know who's connecting with us and from where. Like I said, we are going to talk to Coach Duffy and Hope Noriega today. So we're going to have Hope run through some details about admissions so you know what it takes to get into the University of Arizona. And then we'll have a Q&A with Coach Duffy where you'll be able to understand the perspective of what it takes to get in as an athlete at the University of Arizona. Hope, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready, Kimberly. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Hope Noriega. I am an enrollment counselor at the University of Arizona for students in Canada. I want to apologize ahead of time. I'm getting over a cold. I don't always sound this strange, but I'm really thankful for this opportunity to chat with you guys and thankful for the opportunity to talk to everyone about the university. For starters, this is our beautiful campus. We have a big campus, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But Kimberly, can I go ahead and get started? Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and get started. Share all the goodness that is the University of Arizona.
Perfect. So awesome. Again, thank you guys. Let's get started. So just to start, we were founded in 1885. That was actually before the state of Arizona was founded. So we've been here for a long time. We're kind of in the center of the city, so the city kind of grew around it. So there's a lot to do around, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But we are a very big campus. Right now, really close to 50,000 students. But I do want to make clear that that's a big mix between undergrad, graduate. We also have a lot of students on our online campuses, as well as our micro campuses around the world. So that number is big. You're not going to see all those people on campus. However, we just have a really big global footprint and like I said, online students all over the world. But we do have about 6% international students and about 120 countries represented. So we are very diverse, and we are also, I want to mention, a Hispanic serving institution. So that means that at least 25% of our student population does identify as Hispanic, and then 46% identify as non-white. So it is very diverse, and everyone here is welcome. So just to get started a little bit to talk about Tucson, this is a really fun downtown Tucson. There's a lot to do, like I said, really close to campus. Downtown is one of them, really fun nightlife, really place to walk, a great place to walk around, and great restaurants as well. In the background, you can see Tumamoc Hill, which is actually one of the, a hill close by. You can do some hiking. There's a lot of hiking opportunities in Tucson, and one of them is also really close to downtown. But let me talk a little bit more about Tucson and what Tucson as a city has to offer. Tucson is located in southern Arizona, so we're just about an hour drive away from Mexico, but there are also really big cities around. As you can see on this map, there's Phoenix, San Diego, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Those are really fun weekend trips if you want to get out of the small city for a little bit. But yeah, really there's a lot around, and us as a city, I'll talk about in a little bit. The Tucson population is only around 500,000. So if you want to, it's a great city, not a lot of traffic, but if you wanted to get away and experience like the big city life for a change, like I said, we're very close to a lot of different states and cities. So Tucson was voted top 5 best air quality in the US. That has to do, like I said, with kind of like our smaller population, as well as our clear skies. So we do have, it's always sunny. It's sunny right now, around 350 days of clear skies per year, and excellent weather, especially in the winter. So between 18 and 24 degrees Celsius in the winter. It does not snow in Tucson. However, we're not far at all from like Mount Lemmon or other mountains where it does snow on the mountain. So if you're missing the snow, if you do want to get that experience, if there's a ski resort on the mountain, you can definitely drive up the mountain, but you won't have to worry about like shoveling your driveway in the city or like scraping your windshield. Tucson, like we don't have to worry about that here. So part of the reason it was voted an international dark sky city, that has to do with the beautiful skies, clear skies, the great air quality. So we are voted an international dark sky city. You can see the stars here in Tucson, excellent. If you want to see a lot more, you just have to drive a little out of the city, like down south where I'm from Southern Arizona, in a small town called Rio Rico. You can see the stars excellent there. And that has to do with why space science and like astronomy and things like that are big majors here, which I will talk about in a little bit. So to talk about the culture of Tucson, we are voted a UNESCO City of Gastronomy. There's excellent food here, not just Mexican food, but the Mexican food is delicious, being that we are so close to the border. I see Coach Duffy shaking his head, or nodding his head, I guess. It's a really diverse city, and we have food from all over the world, all of the like delicious cuisine from all over the world. One thing I want to highlight first off is Tucson Meet Yourself is a really great cultural experience and cultural event we have every single year here. That's where all the different communities and cultures represented in Tucson get to come together, share their art, they get to sell things from their country, and most importantly, share their food. And it's really great time to get together and meet other people around the community and get to try also what they have to offer, like their cuisine from their country. Tucson Festival Books is another big annual event. People from all over the US come. It's once a year, and it does happen on campus, and that's super fun. Tour to Tucson is a big bike race also that happens every year. Something happening right now is the Tucson Gem Show. Also, people from all over the world, not just the US, but all over the world come to buy and also sell. So I just met a couple from Nepal that was here selling just for the Gem Show. So that was really cool. It's huge, a lot of culture here. And there's also always something to do. There's always live music. There's a lot of art museums. So you'll have a lot of fun in Tucson. Last thing about Tucson, I mentioned a little, the outdoors culture is really big, biking, hiking, walking, whatever. In the US, there's just about 50 national parks, and Arizona is privileged to have 3. Zion, I mentioned, is not in Arizona, but it is not too far. It's just about 6 hours drive north in Utah. Very beautiful national park. But we have the Grand Canyon, we have the Petrified Forest in Arizona, and then we have Saguaro National Park, which is in Tucson. So there's an east side and a west side. You can choose, you can go to both in one day or just spend your day at one. But there is a lot to do in both of those. Enjoy the hiking, enjoy the beautiful weather, see some wildlife. We have a lot of that here as well. Okay, so something to really consider if you're considering attending a school in the US is definitely cost of living. I mean, tuition is one thing, but also there's the housing you have to think of, the cost of food and things. Tucson, compared to a lot of the US, is relatively affordable. So when we talk about cost of living in general, it's about 50% lower the cost here than it is in San Francisco. Food is 28% lower than it is in New York. Entertainment, like I mentioned, like the live music, the concerts, the art and everything, 24% lower than versus Seattle. And then of course, healthcare, 8% lower than Austin, Texas. So if you are gonna come to the US as an international student and you want to, and you will need to get a student visa, one of those requirements to come is to buy our health insurance, but it's okay. It's a great plan. And not only like will you be covered on that sense, but any additional expenses is relatively affordable compared to, like, for example, Austin, Texas. All right, so the University of Arizona, I showed you a little bit the campus before, but we are a huge campus, 1.5 square kilometers. Everything you need is on our campus. So we have a lot of restaurants, some stores, and even off campus, we're not too far at all. Great walking and biking distance from many shops and restaurants. But I do want to say we do have about 23 on-campus dorms available if that is something, and I will talk about that in a little bit, if that is something you wanted to know. But we also have a lot of options off campus, not too far. And our convenient and safe public transportation, we a lot of our students use that. So we have a shuttle that drives around campus, different spots, but we also have our city public transportation. So like, for example, I do take the bus to work and it's been working out for me, but we also have the SunTran or SunLink. It's a little like train kind of like that goes around campus, but it also goes downtown and even a little further. So there are a lot of options to get to campus if you do decide to live off campus. Talking about academics, we have about 300 undergraduate academic programs here. So there really is something for everyone related to engineering. For example, we have 16 different types of engineering on campus. And then another, like some popular degrees, I see students from Canada applying to business, for example. We have an excellent business college, top 20 public business college in the US. Arts, we have a great dance program. We have great music programs. Some architecture program is very big here as well. There's really something for everyone. I won't go into all of them. But another thing I want to point out is the Honors College. If you do feel like you're more high achieving and you just kind of want to be in a different space with other students that kind of work like you, these honors classes are more kind of like discussion based, and it really makes you to think and prepare a lot for the real world. That's another great option for you guys is our Honors College. If you want to see if we have the program most similar to something you're interested in studying, go onto our website, find the degree search, and it's really simple. You just have to search, or you can search by category, find something you're interested in, and then you can just click it, and then there's all the information you need. There's even a 4-year sample plan on the bottom if you guys want to see kind of what kind of classes you'll be taking, or you can just visit the website to learn more. Rankings, we do have a lot of programs really high ranked. I did mention that astronomy and like space sciences is a really big major here. So we are number 5 in astronomy and astrophysics, number 10 in space sciences, and number 1 in astronomy research. We also get a lot of funding from NASA. We have a lot of projects going on with NASA right now. I believe they have one of OSIRIS-REx, was I think a satellite that launched recently, and that was worked on here in the US, or sorry, here at the University of Arizona. But some other rankings, like number 7 online bachelor's programs, if that is something you're interested in doing, just studying online, but getting a full University of Arizona degree fully online. Top 20 public research institution. And then that management information systems is very, very popular here. I think the majority students in that program are international students. So a lot of students come, like I said, our business programs are great. Okay, so what is it like being a student here? Well, we have so many different resources for you guys. I want to really highlight the tutoring services and the think tank. If you feel like you're struggling in a subject, or you already know like you're not very strong at math, or you struggle with writing papers, we have these programs free of charge to our students. Get your tutoring. However, if you feel like you might be a little advanced in a subject and you want to help and share your knowledge, you could also be a tutor. And that is one of our campus jobs, so you would be able to get paid to be a tutor. So that's really cool. Other than that, our faculty is very supportive, and they will always have advising and office hours for you guys to join. If you feel like you're struggling and just want that additional support, our faculty is great. We also have about, I want to say, a 17-to-1 student faculty ratio. So that does allow for kind of like smaller class sizes and more engagement. We have international student services. They're here to support you guys as international students. Any questions you have, especially immigration related, but they also, or post graduation, if you're interested in like the CPT, OPT aspect, which is where you can find a job in the US after graduating, they're here to support you as well. And they also do plan a lot of events for our international students to visit more parts of Arizona, or even just go to the international grocery store in Tucson. Those are the types of events that they're always planning. And then they have excellent counseling services as well, free of charge. The Student Success Center is where you're going to kind of find that more professional career development aspect. They're there to help you find your internships, maybe research opportunities as well. And then of course, any career fairs they also host. And we do have a great clinic on campus called Campus Health, excellent doctors. There's also a pharmacy as well. So more evidence how everything you need is really located on our campus and at the University of Arizona. Okay, a little bit more of things you can get involved in. We do have 22 Division I NCAA sports, and we're kind of going to talk a little bit more about sports programs towards the end. I do want to mention something really cool. I just updated the slide to say from 21 to 22, because we just added a women's triathlon team to our program. So that's really exciting. That's going to be brand new this coming semester. We have a great student rec center, very high ranked for students to go. And this is included in your student fees. So there's a pool, rock climbing wall, group fitness, things to really help you guys stay active as a student, whether you're an athlete or not. And then of course we have over 600 clubs. There's really something for everyone, you guys. Ranges from interest groups. So I don't know if you like anime, there might be an anime club. There's a Disney club. There's even like a food club if you like to eat and get together and criticize food, food critics. There's also sports clubs that we're going to talk about. And then of course, definitely sport clubs more related to like professional development, whether it be like women in STEM, women in engineering, women in business, Latinos in STEM, future business leaders. There's even a golf club, an Eller golf club, which I think is really cool. Eller, of course, is our business school. You can get together and not only play golf, but also learn about how to talk to people business, like on the golf course. So if you go with your boss to play golf, or if you go and to pitch something to someone on the golf course, they're going to talk and teach you guys about the etiquette, how to communicate that, and basically how to get business done on the golf course. Like I said, we are a really big campus, so we have lots of opportunities for students to work on campus. So as an international student, you are able to work on campus, but there's so many opportunities. Our international student office has a lot of jobs available. All the restaurants, coffee shops on campus always need workers. Administration, things like that, front desk work, or tutoring, like I mentioned, there's something for everyone. And just to highlight quickly our dorms, living on campus is a great option. So furniture is included. Your electric, gas bill, water bill is all included in your rental fee. There's studies show that 8% higher GPA for students who do live on campus. And it's great because you don't have to worry about driving. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get to school. You save a lot of time as well. There are different rates. There's the cheaper ones. There's different types as well. So you can live with like a couple roommates. You can live alone. Just bringing this up to you guys so that you know that like these options are available. And then if you decide to live off campus, there are resources for you as well. You can find on offcampus.arizona.edu kind of like some of the properties that are available. Close by, you can also find a really great database to find a roommate and different resources. If you are renting for the first time, especially renting in the US, there's resources for you as well. Okay, guys, so if you are interested in applying, these are our 3 to 4 main requirements. The first one is obviously fill out the application online, and we are on the Common App. So if you're already filling out the Common App, you can definitely include us in there. But if you do apply through us, there is that $85 application fee, and your application will not be reviewed until you do pay that fee. That fee pays kind of for like our evaluators. They put a lot of work into evaluating your application. You can find that application on everywhere.arizona.edu. The main requirement besides the completed application will be your transcripts. So our processing team does evaluate your transcript class by class, grade by grade, just to make sure they get the most accurate GPA. There might be, if there's anyone joining us from Quebec, and your transcripts, or any other area in Canada and your transcripts are not in English, it is a requirement to have those officially translated. Just to bring that up, if your transcripts are not provided in English, then we do need official translations, and we would need to see the last 3 completed years. So if you're currently in grade 12, we need to see grade 9, 10, and 11. Maybe you already graduated high school, you're just taking a gap year, we need to see the last 3 years, grades 10, 11, and 12. And then proof of English proficiency is also a requirement if you attended school in a non-English speaking school. So I know this might be the case in certain regions of Canada, even if you just attended like a French immersion school and every single class is taught in a different language, or maybe not French, but some other language. In that case, it would be required for you guys to provide a proof of English proficiency. There's many different ways to complete that. We have the IELTS, TOEFL, we have SAT. It's optional, but if you do decide to take the SAT, you can use that for proof of English proficiency. Duolingo is also a great option, most affordable and very convenient. Number 4, there are additional requirements for specific programs. So like if you want to attend a fine arts, if you want to do a fine arts major, once you receive admission, then you will have to do a completely separate process to get admitted to your actual fine arts major, like submitting videos or portfolios, things like that. Also, programs like engineering, nursing, and architecture do actually have a higher GPA requirement. So that is why our processing team does evaluate your GPA. For example, general UA admission, you need a 3.0 GPA. To get into nursing, you need a 3.75. So there are different requirements. If you don't get that high GPA for nursing, but you still get above a 3.0, then you'll still be admitted to the University of Arizona, just not in your major of choice. There's a lot of different things. So if you do have more questions about this, ask me at the end, or we can be in contact after. I'm really happy to support with any questions you have. Okay, so we have our main campus. I also mentioned briefly that we have a great online campus as well. If you are studying fully online through us, through Global Direct, which is an online campus we have, you do get a tuition discount based on the country you're currently located. So main campus is a great option. We offer scholarships. Online, we have no scholarships, but it is already significantly discounted. So we can talk about that too a little later. And this is just kind of to visualize this is just full transparency about our costs and everything. So you can kind of see the difference between online and main campus. But if you're looking to get one of our scholarships, you can kind of see the range. If you do get the highest scholarship up to $22,000 per year, that your annual total tuition wise would be closer to $18,000 versus the closer to $40,000. So this is also something all based on your grades. And this is only merit scholarships. So you can apply for more scholarships after this. You might be offered more scholarships. But again, this is only the merit scholarship that I'm mentioning here. There's a lot of other scholarships you might be able to apply for as well. So once you are admitted to our university, you will have access to something called Scholarship Universe, which is an internal database just for admitted students to apply for scholarships being offered to students at the University of Arizona. So that's a great option. I did mention the Honors College briefly, but if you do join the Honors College, you are eligible for many more scholarships as well. But this is just kind of, I included the chart here for you guys to get an idea of all the different scholarships we offer. Like I said, it is GPA based, and this is only the merit scholarship. Only when applying, like all you have to do is apply to the University of Arizona and you'll be considered for this Global Wildcat Award. There's no other step. You just have to apply for the university and we will offer one of these based on your GPA. but you can see there's a huge range. It's all based just 3.0 to 4.0 GPA. I'd love to answer more questions, but I do want to mention that, like I said, this is not the only scholarship you would be eligible for. You can reach out to your local Education USA office as well and see if they know of any more scholarships available to you. You can apply for more through the scholarship universe, like I mentioned. On-campus employment is a really great option to offset kind of living costs and things like that. There's really money out there and there are things available to you guys. Okay, so next steps, if you are admitted to the University of Arizona, your first big step would be to create your net ID, which is essentially your University of Arizona email address that's going to stick with you forever. Create your password. Your next big step would be to pay your enrollment fee. So this is a $450 fee that basically secures your spot, and it also allows you to sign up for orientation and continue with next steps, which are very critical. Next step, you guys, is to request your I-20. If you are not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, you would be required to study in the U.S. as a student visa. So your first step would be to request your I-20 from us. Once you get that, you'll be able to enter the U.S. and get your student visa upon entry. But yeah, requesting your I-20 is a really important step. And then we have register for orientation, the next big step, which, like I mentioned before, can only happen once you pay your enrollment fee. Okay, so that was my very quick overview of the University of Arizona. I really want to encourage you guys to follow us on Instagram. We've been posting a lot lately if you want to know kind of more about student life. We do have a lot of upcoming events as well that students are always welcome to join. And a lot of student testimonials, things like that. So please follow our Instagram if you want to learn more. Also, my email is there if you have any questions after this presentation, hnoriega@arizona.edu. If you guys use WhatsApp, feel free to text me also on WhatsApp. There's my number, just for easier, fluent conversation. And then, of course, I'm always available via email if you have additional questions. All right, that's it for me.
Outstanding. Thank you, Hope. Thanks for sharing all of that information. I know what really stood out to me were 3 things: Mexican food, no snow, and affordability. Great things. For the essence of time, we're going to move over to a Q&A with Coach Duffy. I know there were a couple questions. We're going to take those at the end. We are going to now jump into our Q&A with Coach Duffy. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we want to learn a little bit about you, Coach Duffy. So tell us about yourself and your role at the University of Arizona.
Well, first off, love the Mexican food. A lot of great Mexican food. We're just not going to talk gravy. We're just going to talk Mexican food for the whole time. If we're okay with that. 24-hour taco shops. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, so my role here is director of rugby. So rugby is in a pretty unique position in that I kind of think we're getting the best of both. So we have our athletic department, which is the sports that we all kind of know. So the American football, basketball. We've got our club sports. We have a couple quasi-varsity sports. That's kind of where rugby falls in, where we can recruit. We actually have scholarships as of last week. We'll touch on that. But then we also have more recreational sports like intramurals and clubs. So pretty much really, if you want to get involved in a sport at any kind of level, we probably have that here. And if we don't, we could probably start that here as well. So it's a very unique, open environment. And just here to give a little bit of sport perspective and maybe some rugby perspective if we have any rugby athletes that are watching for men's or women's rugby.
Outstanding. So you told us a little bit about the athletic programs available. Can you tell us about the facilities?
Facilities are pretty gorgeous. So we have quite a few facilities available. So we actually have 3 rec centers now, technically. So we just opened Bear Down Building. In the gym that's just behind Hope that you can see, we actually have a small rec center in there as well. You can't see it, but it's in there. Just opened last year. We have 3 rec centers. We have multiple fields. We have multiple gyms, indoor track, F45 room. We have our own rock climbing wall. We have our own ropes course. There's a lot that you can do here, regardless of which sport you're involved. And a lot of these things are open to not just the athletes. If you just want to go rock climbing, you just want to play pickup basketball, we have that. So gorgeous facilities, and the weather is a huge part of that, obviously. So We do have turf fields if it ever does get rainy, but that doesn't happen very often. So we're very blessed to have the land that we have in the facilities that we have.
Oh, wow. Sounds like an abundance of opportunity.
Sure, for sure.
Coach, what is your professional advice for student athletes from Canada who are interested in promoting themselves to U of A coaches?
The coach is always going to be your best point of contact. And so I always recommend year 2 or 3 of high school, get in touch with a coach. There are going to be some services and groups and entities that can help you kind of guide you in the right direction geographically of which school, which type of level of sport, what type of level of team, but it's going to revolve around going to that coach. Contact is great. A professional email of, hi, this is my name is so-and-so. I play this sport. Here's my GPA, including that GPA or your estimated grades in the Canadian system in that email is super helpful because that's always the first indicator for all coaches. And then footage. I think a lot of coaches are going to want footage of you playing that sport. Game footage doesn't have to be the highest quality, doesn't have to be a highlight tape, but just getting in touch with the coach is always your best route. There will be some NCAA rules regarding time and contact of when they can contact you, when they can't, but your coaches will always explain that to you. They'll always be upfront with you on that. Some sports don't have those rules, like I don't have those rules, but let's say you emailed Coach Fish over at football, they would get you in touch with when you can contact those coaches and how to do so.
Excellent. Well, you kind of tapped into my next question because we know coaches get a lot of emails and just wanted to kind of pick your brain to see what is the best way to get a coach's attention in an email.
Yeah, I think game footage is always going to be helpful. Knowing a little bit about you and kind of what your goals are. I think that one thing you want to convey to a coach is that this is specific, a school that you're specifically interested in. So I wish I could say that this hasn't happened, but make sure you list the right school when you're talking to that coach. That's happened before. Make sure that it's University of Arizona, not Arizona State. That's a different school. So that's probably the first real easy one, but just, be personal and be honest and be open. For us, it doesn't have to be a whole, book about you, but just know that they're going to get a lot of emails. So here's who I am. Here's my class here. Here are my grades. I'm looking at Arizona. Here's what I like to study. Here's me playing. And then we go from there. Most coaches will respond with, oh, this is great. Here's the next steps. Or they'll at least tell you something about admissions or applications. Even if your footage is not what they're looking for, they're going to give you an honest answer. They're not going to ignore you. At least in my opinion, dealing with coaches here, they're going to put in the right direction. So that would be the biggest thing: footage, grades, and just a really nice professional email with the right school.
Excellent. So avoid that copy and paste. Make sure you read.
Yeah.
Also, you did mention to start communication year 2, 3 in high school. Is that when you should start sending the emails?
Every coach is a little bit different. Every sport's a little bit different, but year 4 is probably too late. I mean, if it's early in year 4, that's okay. But as Hope can kind of touch on, we're really going to be looking at the first 3 years of schooling, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of the academic side. So if you're emailing me year 4, we'll still have that conversation. But if you want to get ahead, years 2 and 3 are the best. I do get some from year 1 students, your first year high school, and that's great. I'll definitely respond, but it's going to be more of, hey, send me footage later. Let's get a little bit down the track before you really start recruitment.
Excellent. Thank you. So we spent a lot of time talking about the sports themselves, but can you expound on academic resources available for students?
Absolutely. So let's talk first if you're in the athletic department. So the athletic department has access to what's called CATS Academics. CATS Academics is additional tutoring that goes on top of what you normally get. So they have great tutoring support and resources there. Some of those will be required for those athletes, if you catch my drift. So that's very helpful. But for the rest of our students, we have a number of resources, Think Tank being the biggest. Think Tank is great for general education courses. Regardless of your major, you're going to take some general education courses, and they're really helpful. They also have a writing center, which is really underrated. I say underrated because I think it's underutilized, right? Not because it's an amazing resource, and writing is such a huge part of college, right, of university. We also have additional resources for students that have additional needs. So Disability Resource Center is a great resource for us, students that need extra time on tests, things like that. But I also want to shout out SALT. So SALT stands for the Strategic Alternative Learning Technique Center. So SALT is a huge resource here for us. We have a number of students that are in that center. You do have to apply. There are some extra fees that come with that, but worth it. Completely worth it. It's more intense one-on-one tutoring. It's really geared towards students that have ADHD, ADD, IEPs, things like that. I've seen personally a number of athletes really have success with the help from SALT that they would get. And then this is on top of your students. So we touched on that student-teacher ratio. These are going to be smaller classes. So as you're younger, will your first year English 101 course be big? Yeah, it will. Don't go in that class with 100 students and be like, wait a second. Wait, I thought this was 17-1. It's really as you get older, you're going to be in those smaller classes. And it's really okay to get help. You know, they're going to be offering supplemental instructions. They're going to be offering different lectures, guest lectures, things like that. Use them. Use them. I feel like I'm coaching here. Use them. They're going to be resources for you. So here at the University of Arizona, you're not just a number, you're a student. We want to see you do well. So there's a lot of resources available for you.
You definitely want to utilize that Writing Center and SALT. I love that acronym. Just love it.
Absolutely.
Last question. And you know, a lot of people want to know about that money. What advice do you have for student athletes looking to qualify for athletic scholarships?
Right. With athletic scholarships, let's talk in some of the larger sports. So they're going to have full scholarships available in the larger sports. Those would be like American football, basketball. I'm sure there's others that I'm not going to, but a lot of those scholarships are available. Get on the radar early would be my advice. Get on the radar early, year two. Start year two, get in touch with those coaches. They'll have partials available as well, but really getting year two, getting footage. Then the coaches will talk you through things like official visits, unofficial visits, and things like that. That'll be the next step there. Then you have other sports that will have partial scholarships where they will have basically a sum of money that they can divvy up among students. Most of those coaches will want to do that to snap on top of academic scholarships. So if you're an athlete that has good grades and you're also a good athlete, you're going to be more attractive than a student that is a good athlete but doesn't have as good of a grade. So you're in a good spot there. It kind of gives you another bite of the apple. And then you have sports that maybe don't have scholarships. Those coaches are really going to be pushing things like Scholarship Universe and other merit-based scholarships that can help you get as much aid as possible. One thing that I think is really important to point out is I recruit a lot against schools that do not do that much for international students. And I'm not going to throw, this is a very positive thing, I'm not going to throw shots here, but we do a lot. We're able to bring in students from all over the world. We're doing a lot for, in terms of Global Wildcat Awards and different things like that. There's a lot that we can do that I think some of our competitors aren't really doing. So here at University of Arizona, you're going to be evaluated properly, which is the first thing, right? You're also going to be in running for a Global Wildcat Award. So between all those resources that we have, we're seeing a lot of international students. You know, my team for rugby is about 40% international. Right? So we have quite a few from overseas, from Canada, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, England, like that. And so I am encountering these students every single day that have gotten great support from the admissions side all the way through the academic side.
Outstanding information and motivation you just gave us. Now, let me ask you, is there academic criteria tied to maintaining scholarships?
Almost always, yes. Almost always, yes. Most of that criteria will revolve around being academically eligible. Now, certain teams may have different higher GPAs that they're going to require that you keep while you're here, but most teams will be required to be just eligible, which is usually being in good standing. But the academic scholarships will also have different GPA requirements. So it really will be case by case, but the short answer is yes.
Gotcha. And so how do scholarship renewals work?
That one would really depend on the team. So for academic scholarship, those would be automatically renewed based on you hitting those marks that are required for minimum GPAs. For an athletic scholarship, it really would be team by team. You really need to talk to the coach of kind of what that scholarship would look like. I have not heard of any issues with that, but I would go to the coach on that for your sport would be the best thing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you, Coach Duffy and Hope, for coming and sharing all this wonderful information with us about the University of Arizona. Before we go, we have some questions. Just want to take share some of the questions for both of you as we go through and give our listeners, our watchers, some answers. So the first question is for you, Coach Duffy, and it's from Diane. She wants to know if University of Arizona provides full scholarships for track and football.
Track and football? Yes. So is this American football or football?
I'm going to guess, let's just answer for both.
We'll do
I'm going to
okay.
guess American football, but I could be wrong.
So I can speak to the American football side. Yes, they do offer full scholarships for American football. Track and field, I believe so, but you need to talk to Coach Harvey. I'm going to refer you to him. On the football side, the soccer side here, I believe they do, but you'll need to talk to the coach. The one I have the most familiar with is American football because I deal with those coaches more. So I'm sorry, but I do know at the very least there's partial scholarships for track and field and football. But I do believe there are full scholarships as well. But you need to talk to the coach. Yeah, sorry.
Outstanding. The next question's from Jennifer. She has a question or comment. So her first question is, what's the most effective way to have your child get an athletic scholarship? I know you answered that a little bit, but maybe have a little bit more to share with her.
Yeah, I mean, I think every team will be different, and so it'll come down to positional need. It'll come down to who's graduating. It'll come down to your profile. Every coach is going to have a different philosophy of what they're looking for within that team. So it really will be case by case. But taking a 30,000 foot view, I would say having good grades, showing character, and having that ability to play. And note that I put ability to play as an emphasis. Grades and character for me are really the big piece. My belief is always we want to recruit the right people. If we miss out on the right people, that's okay. They'll beat us once a year. If we sign the wrong people, they're going to beat us every day. So it's really, can we find that character? And the visit is important. The sneaky tip I would give you is when you visit, you think that you're evaluating the school and you're evaluating the program. That's partially true. They're also evaluating you. They're also evaluating you on that visit and how you would potentially fit with their team, how you fit with the teammates. And so just know that it's not a pressure. Don't get scared. Like, just be natural, be normal, be yourself, and show good character. And that will see you rise up the ranks in terms of where the coach is going to push for you. But also be honest with coaches, I'd say. I think I have experienced some families that, I don't want to say play the game, but kind of say, hey, we're looking at this school, we're looking at that school. What can you do? Playing one against the other doesn't really work. I wish it was that simple. It really doesn't work like that typically. So just be honest. Hey, this is what we're thinking. If Arizona's your top choice, great. If it's one of your top choices, fantastic. If it's not, that's okay too. It's okay. And you're not wasting the coach's time if you say, I'm really looking at this school. It's got this, it's got this. If I get in, I'm probably going to go there. That's okay. You're going to save that coach time too. So just be honest, show good character, and good things will happen.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Coach Duffy. Hope, we have a couple questions for you as well. First is from Diane, and she asked, do you offer sports medicine degrees?
Okay, so sports medicine degrees?
Correct, sports medicine.
Okay, perfect. We have medicine degrees.
Oh, you know what, Hope? I was wrong. It's actually sports management, not sports medicine.
Okay, perfect, no problem. Yeah, so the short answer would be actually no, we don't have sports management in general. What we do have is great like business management, and then you can add I believe there's a sports management minor. So you can add that minor or even like a certificate. So altogether, your degree would be business management. And then of course, with that like emphasis or minor in sports management. So we have a lot of other minors and other certificates as well, related to any major. So you can kind of like personalize your degree however you want it.
And I have a number of athletes doing that program right now that work in professional sports that have graduated. So you can definitely do it here.
Outstanding. Diane, I apologize for that. I went back and corrected it. We have a question from Natalie for you as well, Hope. Are study visas required for Canadian students?
Yeah, great question. So yes, a Canadian studying in the US would need a student visa. However, the process is much easier than other countries, easier for Canadian citizens versus other countries. So the big thing you need is that I-20, which is basically where you submit a financial guarantee saying you do have enough funds to cover a year of expenses here. And again, that will you'll be able to use your scholarships as well for that I-20. But once you have your I-20, Canadian citizens will get their visa upon entry to the US. So you don't have to go through the hassle of scheduling a visa interview at the consulate. You guys as Canadian citizens can just enter the US with your I-20 and then you'll get your visa upon entry.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Hope. We do have a few other questions, but I think Coach Duffy may have already answered them. One is for high school. We talked about the process from high school, but what's the process coming from a U.S. junior college?
Junior college transfer is fairly easy. So they'd be looking at your grades during your time at that junior college or other university. It'd be the same process, as far as I know. They would look at your high school grades, I believe, Hope, right, as well. But really, it would be contacting the coach. What I would suggest for any athletes in the transfer is just if it's from a four-year school, I know I'm a little hesitant on that because I want to respect that current school, that current team. So my policy has always been, hey, an athlete contacts me from X university, great. I'm going to say, hey, once you apply, let's have a conversation. But until you apply, I'm going to respect that school, respect that coach, many of whom I know. But if it's from a junior college and the plan is all along for you to go to a university like Arizona, the transfer process is fairly simple. Do the best you can at that junior college, and then hopefully we'll see you here in Tucson.
Perfect. One more question for you, Coach Duffy. If the student is playing elite levels for multiple sports, for both sports, should they choose one or do they have the ability to play both?
I saw that. I was going to type an answer. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. So it's going to be really hard to do both at the same time. I saw one question about hockey and baseball. I get asked about rugby and football, or rugby and track. It's going to be really difficult. We have seen American football and rugby before in very rare cases, but it's going to be very difficult because a lot of these sports, even if they're not in season, are going to have things going on during the course of the year. Not because they want to overwork you, but from a team building standpoint, they want to kind of have you doing things and have you around teammates and making friends. So I think it'd be very difficult. What I would advise that student is pick the one you have the most fun, that you enjoy, is the best opportunity for you, and then play the other one recreationally. So you could be, let's say, a hockey player that loves hockey. He's on the hockey team here. The office is right here next to me. And then recreationally, you play intramural basketball with your friends, and you get your hockey friends to play. That's great. Like, that kind of stuff is probably the best balance for you, so that you're not overworked and you also can go to school. Because remember, you do have classes here too. So probably need to pick one, but you could definitely do both in some capacity.
Gotcha. And that question came in from Jason. So it looks like, Jason, they need to choose one. That's where we sit there. One last question. I think that you answered, Coach Duffy. It was related to athletic scholarships and the process. You went through all of that. This was a specific question for a student that is a 2025 graduate. When should they reach out?
Yeah, so 2025, that means the student is a sophomore right now, right? Yeah. So you can reach out now. If it's an NCAA sport, they may have some rules on, hey, they may come back and say, look, we can't really talk to you yet because of NCAA regulations. But if it's a non-NCAA sport, you can reach out years 2 and 3. So you're at sophomore year, if I'm not mistaken, reach out now. Like, it never hurts to reach out. Like, even if you're a first year high school, it never hurts to reach out. I just say years 2 and 3 because that's typically when both A, the university is going to look to start recruit for that cycle, and B, high school students are typically starting to look at universities. So that's usually where those cycles meet.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. And once again, Coach Duffy and Hope, we are glad that you joined us here today on the College Tracker Show. We just have one last question for each of you, and that is, what is your favorite thing about the University of Arizona? And we'll start with Hope.
Hi, thank you. Okay, I want to add one quick thing before answering your question related to transfer students. I didn't mention this at all in my part of the presentation. Going to junior college is great. You can save a lot of money in the long run. And I say that because transfer scholarships to the University of Arizona are actually lower than the ones I showed. So there is a lot to consider. However, if you are transferring, like I said, a great option as well. However, when you do transfer to the US, or to the University of Arizona, you can expect your scholarships to be a little lower. But again, you probably will save money in the long run. Okay, my favorite thing about the University of Arizona is by far, like, location. And by location, I mean Southern Arizona. I love Southern Arizona. I grew up here, much closer to the Mexican border, but there's actually so much culture here. There's so much to do. It's beautiful. Especially like after our summers, we do get a bunch of rain in the summer. So it's actually very green here. just beautiful. There's all the hiking opportunities, all the museums, being close to Mexico. I grew up going to Mexico all the time. It's actually fairly easy. Obviously be safe, go with someone who knows the area, but I love it. But yeah, the location, Southern Arizona, I love it here.
Location. And Coach Duffy, what's it for you?
The people. It's the people. And look, I think that there's nothing wrong with going to a university that's close to you where you know a bunch of people already, and maybe they're all from kind of your area of the country, area of the world, but that ain't the case here. That's not the case here. They're from everywhere. If you don't know anyone here, and let's say you're a student and you're not an athlete, you're going to show up. Your roommate will be from someplace you've probably never been. The people down the hall, you've never, brand new people. And because we're such a school like that, especially on the athletic side, these people really work together in multiple ways. So from an athletic perspective, from a family perspective, even just physically getting here, when, the captain of my team is from Hong Kong, he's going to fly 16, 17 hours to get here every time, right? And they are so motivated because of that. Not that people that go to school close aren't motivated, but I'm saying that the ones here definitely are. And I want to surround myself with people like that. I want to surround myself with people that are pushing themselves. And look, I see this everywhere from our classroom and our laboratories to our theater, to our sports, to in the gym. I see it everywhere. And these athletes are double majors and they're triple majors. And it's just such a high striving to be a high achieving group of young people. And that's what gets me up every day. That's what gets me up every day. It's not just the rugby athletes, but everyone I encounter. So they're not every school. I've coached at multiple places, and not every place is like that. And we get that.
There we have it, the people and the location. Well, thank you everyone for joining us in season 3, episode 1 of the College Tracker Show. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.